I took the ferry job because I thought the sea at night would be peaceful. My university was on a small island off the coast, and the last boat back to the mainland left at 2100 hours. Miss that, and you were stuck. So when I saw the notice, night crew wanted, short trips, lodging and meals included, it sounded perfect. Work a few nights a week, sleep in a bunk, save on rent. The ferry was small, 3 decks, a cafeteria, a handful of private cabins, and one big room with blue vinyl seats where most people slept. It sailed out at 23:30, crossed black water for 6 hours, then slid into the mainland port just after dawn. Locals called it the last vein, because if it ever stopped running, the island would die. On my first night, the senior crewman, Sato, showed me around. He was in his 40s, sunburned permanently, with a cigarette always behind one ear. We walked through the quiet cafeteria, past the humming vending machines, and up a narrow stairwell that smelled of salt and oil. He covered the usual things: emergency procedures, how to lock the fire doors, how to mop seawater off the stairwell when waves hit wrong. He showed me the crew room where I'd have a bunk, right next to the laundry machines. Then, as we stood in the passageway that led to the outside deck on the second level, he stopped walking and looked at me seriously. "There's one more thing," he said. I waited, expecting something about seasickness or drunk passengers. He pointed to the heavy metal door at the end of the corridor. A small round porthole was set in it, currently filled with the dull black of night. "That door stays locked after midnight," Sato said. "No matter what. Even if someone asks you to open it." "Because of safety?" I guessed. "Rough waves?" He shook his head slowly. "Because of him." I tried to smile. "A ghost story?" "Seriously?" Sato didn't smile back. "You'll hear it sooner or later," he said. "Might as well hear it from me." He leaned against the wall, arms folded. "About 10 years ago, before you were in high school, this ferry hit a storm on the night run," he began. "We weren't supposed to leave port, but there was a typhoon skirting the coast and the company didn't want to cancel. Said it would probably pass north." He snorted smoke from his nose at the memory. "The wind picked up around midnight. We had people lying all over the seats downstairs, covered in blankets, groaning. Waves were hitting the hull hard enough to rattle the vending machines. We told everyone to stay inside." He glanced at the door again. "But one guy insisted he needed fresh air. Said he'd puke if he stayed in the cabin. Young salaryman, suit and tie, briefcase. You know the type. He argued with the crew at this very door. Finally, when the captain turned away for a moment, he unlocked it himself and pushed his way out." Sato's voice went flat. "He never came back in." The ship hummed around us, a steady mechanical heartbeat. In the distance we could hear the muffled television from the passenger lounge. "We didn't see him go over," Sato continued. "Nobody heard a shout. One moment he was walking along the rail, trying not to slip, the next he was gone. It was raining so hard you could barely see your own hands. By the time the captain realized someone was missing, we were already past the deepest point." I swallowed. "Did they find him?" I asked. Sato looked at me like he already knew what I'd ask next. "They found his briefcase floating near the port the next morning," he said. "Nothing else." He tapped the door with his knuckles. "After that, the company made a rule. After midnight, we lock the deck doors. If anyone wants to smoke or get air, tough. They can wait for sunrise. But—" He hesitated, then lowered his voice. "About a month after the accident, another crew heard knocking here. Around 2 a.m. gentle, polite knocks. Like a passenger who didn't want to disturb anyone. They thought someone had gotten locked out, so they opened it." He paused long enough for me to hear the air conditioner buzzing. "And?" I asked. "No one was there," he said. "Just waves and dark." But the knocking didn't stop. It moved, like it was inside the door itself. After that, people started hearing a voice too. I tried to laugh it off. "Come on." He stared straight at me. "If you hear knocking on this door after midnight," he said, "you keep it locked. I don't care if it sounds like an old lady, a little kid, your best friend, your own mother. You do not open it. You don't look out the porthole. You walk away. Understand?" His intensity made me uncomfortable. "Okay, okay," I said. "I got it." I didn't believe him, exactly. But the way he said it lodged somewhere deep in my brain. For the first few weeks, the job was uneventful. Most passengers fell asleep as soon as we left port. I wiped tables, restocked the shop, checked that cabin doors were latched. The sea at night was a smooth, black plane caught by our wake. Sometimes I stood at the window and watched the white foam trail behind us like a long scar. On clear nights, the stars were overwhelming. No city glow, just the ship in space and water. I started to look forward to those hours between 1 and 3 in the morning when everyone was asleep and the only human sounds were the faint snores from the lounge. Of course, that was when I first heard the knocking. It was a calm night, no wind, the ferry gliding on glass. The clock in the crew room said 1:47. I was alone, folding towels, when a soft metallic sound echoed down the passageway. Knock, knock, knock. I froze. It wasn't loud. Just 3 short, polite raps. But the sound carried too clearly through the metal hallway, like someone tapping the inside of a bowl. Maybe it's the engine, I told myself. Or something shifting. Then it came again. Knock, knock, knock. This time I could tell exactly where it came from. The deck door. I stood up slowly. The rational part of my brain started listing normal explanations. Maybe a passenger had slipped outside before we locked the door. Maybe another crew member needed something. Maybe I just imagined it. But the rest of me remembered Sato's story, word for word. If you hear knocking on this door after midnight, you keep it locked. The knocks came a third time. Knock, knock, knock. Crew? A man's voice called, muffled through the metal. My heart thudded painfully. "Excuse me," the voice said. "Is anyone there? I'm locked out." I took a step into the corridor before I realized it. "Who is it?" I shouted back, my voice sounding too loud. There was a pause. Then, I'm a passenger. I went out to get some air. The door closed behind me. "It's very cold." The tone was apologetic, just the right mix of embarrassed and annoyed. Exactly how I'd sound if I'd locked myself out smoking on my balcony. My hand hovered near the latch. "You don't know everyone on board," I thought. "People come on after you start shift. Maybe someone really did sneak out." "You're not supposed to be out there, sir," I said, trying to sound professional. "The deck is closed." "I know," the voice replied quickly. "I'm sorry. I just thought it would be okay for a minute. Please. Just open it for a second." I glanced at the clock on my phone. 1:49 a.m. The ship rocked very gently, the barely there movement of a sleeping animal. "Could you go to another door?" I tried. "The crew entrance near the bow?" Silence. Then a faint, strained laugh. "I can't," the man said. "The sea is on that side." A chill slid down my back. We were in open water. The sea was on every side. My fingers drew away from the latch. "We're not allowed to open the deck after midnight," I said firmly. "Please wait there, I'll call my superior." Another pause. When the voice came again, it was closer to the door. I could hear the thin metal vibrate with each word. "Come on," it said. "You don't have to open it wide. Just a crack. You're new, right? I haven't heard your voice before." "How do you know that?" I whispered. From my end of the corridor, I was still too far to see the porthole clearly. It was just a dull circle of black. "Because I've been knocking for years," the man said quietly. "I know all the other ones." My blood turned to ice. A memory surfaced, the photo in the crew break room of a young man in a life jacket, smiling awkwardly beside the ferry. A small shrine under the frame with a cup of sake and a packet of salted peanuts. "We'll never forget you, Tanaka-kun. Rest well at sea." I hadn't paid much attention to it. Just another old photo. I suddenly didn't want to know if the voice belonged to that face. "You should have listened the first time," the voice went on. "The storm was nothing. The wind was nothing. I just wanted someone to stand here and hold on to me. One hand on my wrist. That's all it would have taken." His tone wasn't angry, exactly. It was worse. It was patient. Exhausted. "They were busy," he said. "I get it. Storm, passengers screaming, things falling. No one noticed when I went out. No one noticed when I went over. No one noticed when I kept knocking. Knock, knock, knock." This time, the sound came right by my ear, as if my head were already against the door. I jumped. I was still in the middle of the corridor. My breathing grew shallow. The metal walls seemed to close in, the floor humming under my feet with the engine's steady vibration. "If you open it," the voice said softly, "you don't even have to look at me. Just reach out your hand. I'll hold it. Just once. While the sea takes us both somewhere quiet." Something invisible tugged at me, like a tide running backward through the hallway. I took a step backward. "No," I said, but it came out as a whisper. "What?" he asked. "No," I repeated, louder this time. "I'm not opening it." The silence on the other side changed texture, like fog hardening into glass. "You think you're safe because nobody saw you say yes," he murmured. "Because it's just you and me in this hallway. But someone is always listening, kid. The sea hears everything that falls into it." My skin prickled. "You're not the first one to hesitate," he continued. "Some slipped. Some didn't. The lucky ones walked away and pretended it was just the ship expanding in the cold. Metal makes noises," they said. "It was nothing. Knock. Just once this time. Right in front of me." I stared at the black circle of the porthole. For a brief, impossible moment, I saw something there. Not a full face, just the outline of a forehead, hair plastered to it, the suggestion of eyes just below the rim. As if someone were standing in water up to their nose, clinging to the outside of the door and lifting their face as high as they could. I stumbled back so fast I nearly fell. "Fine," the voice said. It sounded a little further away now, like someone pushing off from the hull. "You can leave me out here. But you won't be able to forget my knocking. You'll hear it in every apartment door, every train, every elevator." His words slid into my ears like cold water. "And one day," he added, "when you're standing between inside and outside, on a balcony, at a platform edge, on a pier, you'll hear 3 gentle taps from behind you. Knock, knock, knock. You'll remember how it felt to refuse. And you'll wonder what it would be like to finally hold on to someone as you go under." The ship's horn sounded in the distance, a low, mournful blast that made the walls tremble. The porthole was only darkness now. Ordinary darkness. I turned and ran. Sato found me in the crew room, sitting on my bunk with my hands pressed over my ears. "You heard it," he said. It wasn't a question. I nodded. He lit a cigarette with a practiced flick. "Did you open it?" he asked. "No." "Good." He sat on the opposite bunk and stared at the ceiling for a while, smoke curling slowly upward. "It gets easier," he said at last. "The first time is the worst. After that, you get used to ignoring him." "That's horrible," I muttered. He shrugged. "So is the sea." I hesitated. "What happens if someone does open it?" I asked. Sato's jaw tightened. He didn't answer right away. Finally, he said, "When I started here, there was an old guy on the crew. He told me the same rule I told you. A few years later, I heard he retired early. Bad leg from a fall, they said. He took a drag, exhaled slowly. Sometimes I dream I'm back on that storm night, he added quietly. And in the dream, I see him. The salaryman. He's not trying to climb in. He's trying to climb out, away from something heavy wrapped around his ankles. He crushed the cigarette out. In the dream, I open the door, he said. And I always wake up before I see which one of them I pull inside. We sat in silence. Outside, the ferry cut steadily through the dark water toward the mainland. Somewhere under us, the hull shuddered as it hit a slightly larger wave. Knock. Just the normal sound of metal complaining. Probably. I still work nights on the ferry sometimes. I graduated, but the island feels more like home than the city now. The pay is lousy, the bunk is small, but the sea at dawn is beautiful in a way that makes everything else feel unreal. I follow the rule. I lock the deck doors at midnight. I walk away when I hear knocking. But every once in a while, on a calm night when the stars are too bright and the horizon is a perfect, empty circle, my hand pauses on the latch. I imagine opening it just a crack. I imagine a pale, dripping hand pushing through, fingers shaking, reaching for my wrist. I imagine not pulling away. If you ever take an overnight ferry in Japan, look for the metal door that leads to the outside deck. It will be locked after midnight, no matter how badly you want to see the sea. And if you stand in the corridor long enough, with the engines humming and the passengers snoring and the world reduced to metal and water and air, you might hear it too. Knock, knock, knock. Polite. Patient. Trying, after all these years, to find just one person kind enough, or foolish enough, to open the way between inside and out. If that happens, remember my story. Remember that not every voice outside in the dark is meant to be let in. And when the knocks grow a little angrier, when the voice starts to sound almost like your own, begging you to turn the handle and take one tiny step toward the black water, don't open the deck door after midnight.